Hello and welcome to Here's Some Food, where I make food and then you look at it and that's the extent of our relationship, really. It's stay-at-home o'clock and I've been dealing with a lot of leftovers lately, so I'm gonna go ahead and do my favorite leftover transformation, fried rice. Seriously, fried rice is the perfect leftover dish. Pretty much any time we're meal planning, if something with rice comes up, fried rice winds up a couple days later on the menu because it's just so good. Now this isn't going to be an authentic fried rice by any means. I'm not using the right kind of rice, I don't have a wok, etc, etc. But it's going to be a tasty way to use up some leftovers, and that's really what I'm here for. Now, I used to do my fried rice cooking in stages, where I'd get one thing going in the pan, and then I'd prep the next ingredient, and so on. However, this kitchen is super small, which I'm taking as motivation to start actually focusing on mise en place, which is basically just getting all of your components together before you start cooking. Those components are, in approximate order of use, some butter. I'm only going to use a couple tablespoons of this. Half an onion, which I'm going to dice into little bitty bits. A bit of garlic, which is going to get the same treatment as the onion. My leftover rice from dinner a couple nights ago, broken up into a bowl. A couple eggs, and then my seasoning components. Now I'm not pre-portioning these out because I add them to taste throughout the process. So sorry, there's not going to be measurements here, but they are in order of my use. Soy sauce, rice vinegar, mirin, sesame oil, fish sauce, or if you don't have it, Worcestershire, and sriracha if you're into that kind of thing. And then my personal favorite fried rice component, kimchi. I basically always have a jar of kimchi in the fridge. I didn't even try kimchi for the first time until I was like 25, and I am really trying to make up for all the wasted years by having it around and eating it as often as possible. And fried rice is one of my favorite applications. Now, as with the mac and cheese video that I did, and with most things, really, fried rice is super customizable, and you can put whatever you like in it. This is a great place to put some thawed frozen veggies like peas or broccoli, or to put some chopped fresh veggies if you're into that sort of thing. If you've got leftover stuff kicking around that you think would go well in fried rice, throw it in there. I would personally suggest that for things like chopped carrot or fresh broccoli or whatever, you consider steaming it or cooking it in salted boiled water first, just until it's soft to help with the cooking time, but like, whatever you want to put in there, go for it. The one thing that you're not seeing here is a protein component, a meat or a tofu or whatever, just because, like, I don't have anything else that I wanted to add. But if you want to put some chicken or shrimp or tofu or bacon or whatever in there, that's fine. Just prep and cook your protein first and then set it aside until it's time to incorporate it back in. As for me, I'm sticking with eggs because that's what sounds good right now. So, now that I've gotten my mise all in place, I'm gonna start cooking. Fun fact, this is my first time doing fried rice on a gas stove, and I am so excited about it. Unfortunately, my plans to get a wok have been put off by just the state of the world right now. So, failing that, since there's going to be a ton of stirring and mixing and all that, I'm going to go for whatever pan in my kitchen is the biggest, which happens to be this monster. So, I'm just going to go ahead and get this on a nice sort of medium-ish flame. Going to put some oil in there, and then once it gets shimmery and, warm-like, I'm going to drop in my prepared onion and garlic. Just going to give these guys a little stir here and there, and then when they're ready, you're looking for translucent and fragrant. I got a little browning. It's fine. When they're ready, I'm going to mix some space and drop my butter in, get that melty, and add my rice. Now, right before this part, or right now, right around here, really, is where you would want to add your prepped veggies, if you had them. Here's some rice, salt, pepper, mix, and now I'm letting that cook, warm, etc. I tend to be kind of awful about wandering away from the stove when I'm cooking. I can't help it, I'm an antsy guy. But when I'm making fried rice, I babysit that ish. Seriously, grab a seat and a book or whatever and get comfy. Once the rice is doing its rice thing, I'm gonna start seasoning. I'm gonna add some soy sauce, some mirin, and a drizzle of rice vinegar, and I'm also gonna add a little sriracha. I have no idea what these measurements are. Some tablespoons, maybe there's a teaspoon in there. No clue. But that's because I taste it constantly. So you're gonna stir, taste, add things, taste, stir, and so on. I tend to check the flavor of my fried rice often enough that I'm not really hungry anymore by the time dinner's ready. And then once the flavor of the rice is where I want it, I add my kimchi. Stir, let it warm up. Oh man, what's gonna happen to Roland next? Once everything is all incorporated here, I'm gonna make a well and crack my eggs into it. Just like with the rice, salt, pepper, stir, stir, stir until they are all cooked and stuff. Now, nearing the end of the process, I'm gonna taste again. If things taste a little flat, I might add some salt, some fish sauce, or Worcestershire if that's all I've got. I usually don't need to add more vinegar by now because of the kimchi, but if you didn't use kimchi and you need some brightness, feel free. This is also the stage once everything is combined where I decide if I need more heat and maybe add a little more sriracha. The very last thing that I'll add is sesame oil. Usually I wait until the burner is turned off, just to make sure I don't mess with the flavors because sesame oil can take on a burnt taste really easily. Alright, once everything is all mixed and beautiful, tastes how you want, it's time to plate up. I've got some scallions and sesame seeds here, which is honestly entirely a garnish for me because I kind of hate scallions, but they make it look nice, and I think it's important to try to dress up your home cooking where you can, so there it is. Well, here's some food. Now, I have definitely tasted this enough that I'm seriously more full than I'd like to be, so I'm gonna go ahead and tag in my stunt stomach to take this one for me. Yeah, go on. Well. Alright, you heard it from him, folks. It's fried rice. It's, good and stuff. Most importantly, it's food. If you like food, like watching me make food, like hearing about how here some of it is, feel free to, give me a like, a subscribe, check out Facebook. I'm also on Twitter. Leave a comment about rice or, whatever. I don't know. How's your day going?